I'm Stephanie Lindloff, eco-intuitive coach and native gardening guide. Ooh, that's hard to say. And so glad to be here with you today. It's episode 57, and we are smack dab in the middle of the holiday season, people. Whoa. Right now, chances are you're feeling some holiday stress, maybe some anxiety, some overwhelm, maybe the desire for everything to be perfect, from the way that the gifts are wrapped to the holiday meals and all the decorations and everything in between. Maybe you're starting to feel that stress about interacting with certain family members that can trigger you or that can be particularly challenging to spend time with. I get it. I think we all get it. I want you to know that you are in good company, and that's why I'm so happy that you're here today, because this is, despite being the season of joy, it can bring a lot of difficult emotions to the surface, right? And so this weekly offering and all of my work is focused on helping busy, anxious women reclaim your peace through simple moments with Mother Earth. Simple moments. I'm so glad that you took the time to hear what I have to say, to receive all of the beautiful healing that nature, that Mother Earth is offering to you. And you may be wondering, well, Steph, boy, that sounds great. You know, connecting with nature can help me feel more peaceful. How in the world is it going to have a meaningful difference in my life? Well, it's a great question, and I'll answer it for you. You know how healing nature is. If you're listening to this, you are already drawn to connect more deeply with nature, with Mother Earth, and you have experienced that peaceful feeling within yourself. There's a lot of science around how nature is healing to us from a physical perspective, physiologically, from even an emotional healing perspective. There's a lot of science around this. And there is so much more. And that is what I am sharing with you, because I have experienced it myself. Deep emotional healing, but also deep spiritual healing and spiritual connection, emotional connection. All of these things are available to you when you choose to accept nature's invitation to help you out. So I am here to take you there. I am here to help you reawaken this sacred, wise, healing partnership that you already have with the earth. I'm just here to facilitate the process for you. And the reason that I do this is because my life has been transformed through these simple practices that I share in all of my teachings, from these weekly offerings to my one-on-one coaching, to my group coaching, to my online course that I offer. That is exactly at the heart of what I share, is that simple moments, mindful moments in connection with nature can transform your life. I, just a few years ago, was super stressed out. I was a really stressed woman. I was suffering from really debilitating anxiety, which I've had my entire life, but during times of intense stress, of course, it becomes so much more heightened and difficult to manage. I was experiencing more frequent bouts with depression. I had a drinking problem. I started to develop an autoimmune disorder, and so many other things, so many other things, so much pain and suffering. And it was through my long journey of pain and suffering, that I came out on the other side with wisdom that I am here to share with you. So I just want you to know that I have been there. I have been there and I still go there. This is not about wiping away all of the difficulties in life because, life is 50-50. We're going to have the good times, we're going to have the bad times. It's all about, and what I am helping you to know is that it's all about finding ways to take care of yourself and to create easy practices, simple practices that allow you to tap into your deep wisdom and your deep healing. And I think that Mother Earth is a phenomenal guide for this, a phenomenal teacher and healer. And so that's what I focus on. So really everything changed for me when I realized that mindful moments in nature brings powerful healing, and this connection can be done anywhere. It's not about just being outside. You can have these powerfully deep connections with nature from indoors as well. And that is also part of what I teach. Now, the basics that I want to share with you today, which I think is really important to know because it is a simple practice. I will say it's not necessarily easy, because easy means that it comes right to you, that you can pick it up and set it down and move on, and that you'll always remember to do it and come back to it. It is a practice. It is simple in its steps, but the practice part of it is key, remembering to come back to it and over again. Now, because this is a simple practice, it is also self-perpetuating, okay? I'm going to show you a little fancy graphic that I made thanks to Canva to show you how this is a positive feedback loop, how practicing mindful nature connection brings you into a place of consistency and of remembering that your body, your spirit, your mind remembers to come back to this practice as a way of caring for yourself. Now, here's the basics, okay? And I am going to say right off the bat that I know that it's flip-flopped. I tried to switch it around. Couldn't make it happen for the video for some reason. I don't know how to do it, but I'm gonna try and fix it in afterwards. So hopefully afterwards you're seeing this correctly. So your path to peace. This is your path to peace. Step one is knowing that you can have simple moments with nature. And what I mean by that is being mindful about an intentional connection, telling yourself that you are entering into a sacred moment, even if it's just for 5 seconds, where you are open to the peace that nature is offering to you. So that's step one, recognizing that you can have a simple, powerful moment with nature. Recognizing that brings you into step two, which is being present with whatever that aspect of nature is. It could be a photograph that you're looking at. It could be out in the wilderness looking at an amazing, landscape. It could be looking at a tiny leaf covered with frost out in your yard. It could be sitting at a stop sign or a stoplight and just looking at a tree that's next to the road. That can be a powerfully healing moment. That is your presence. When you experience presence, you also, it naturally leads you to experience stillness. Presence it brings you back to the now. It brings you to the moment so that our anxious brain is not looking into the future. Our, fearful or grieving parts are not preoccupied on what has happened in the past. Presence is always available to you in nature. And when you see those moments, those simple, mindful moments in nature, and you recognize that you can experience the presence, the beauty within the present moment, that brings you into the now, and that leads you to stillness, to a sense of stillness. When you are experiencing stillness, that is the place where you can hear your deep wisdom, where you can tap into your intuitive guidance that you were born with, where you can hear the language of your soul. I consider our intuition to be the language of our souls. You might experience it as a connection with the divine, however you choose to define the divine. So you have simple moments with nature. You go into it with the intention of having a simple, peaceful moment. You experience presence by enjoying that present moment in the now with whatever that aspect of nature is. Being within that present moment brings you to a sense of stillness. Stillness allows you to hear your deep wisdom, your intuition, the language of your soul. You are able to experience that. And this allows you to experience profound connection with your deepest wisdom, with your soul, with the divine, with the universe, with the leaf, with the tree, with the sunset, with the landscape, with Mother Earth. And then when you experience that sense of profound connection, which so few of us have the opportunity to experience anymore with our busy, busy lives, how much stress we're under. So many of us are just yearning for deeper connection, not only with others, but with something much bigger than ourselves. With ourselves, first of all, a deep sense of connection with ourselves, with our souls, but also with everything, with the universe, with the flow of energy that runs throughout all of us. When we can experience this profound connection, it brings us deep peace. It brings us perspective. It helps us remember how wise and capable and resilient we are. It helps us make decisions more quickly. It helps us have more clarity in our lives, to know our steps forward, especially if we are in a difficult time. So this is a positive feedback loop, because once you experience that profound connection, you want to keep coming back to it again and again. And that is the beauty and the power of this practice, because it is self-perpetuating. Once you start to recognize and embrace how powerful simple moments with nature can be, and you experience that, you will keep coming back to it. It's the most healthy of addictions, for lack of a better word. It's a beautiful practice. And Mother Earth is a masterful healer and teacher. So when, I always come back to this, because nature is always with you. There is always some aspect of nature that you can connect with, from, a hardwood floor to your wood desk, to the water that you're drinking, to the food that you're preparing. Nature is all around us. And when we approach a relationship with nature from the perspective of trusting and knowing that nature is wise and that there is always a message for you to receive. This is such a powerful mindset and leads to great awareness, not only of your interactions with the healing power of nature on a day-to-day basis, but your awareness of yourself. And when you connect, when you have and experience that profound connection, you are able to observe your thinking that is bringing you pain or suffering. You're able to take a step back from it and observe your thinking so that you can bring in self-compassion and understanding, and so that you can more clearly hear your beautiful intuitive wisdom and identify what will be most helpful to you in the moment. Now, I think that I teach a whole bunch of different ways, lots of different ways to interact with nature, to experience this deep healing. And for instance, this Thursday, I am offering a special event for the winter solstice. It is called Sowing Seeds of Peace and Hope, and we are going to be connecting deeply with seeds and with all of the wisdom that they are offering to us in this season. You will also learn a very simple practice of nature connection. A different, this is the path, the five-step path that I shared with you today. But I'm going to, in Thursday's class, be sharing a very simple practice to a deepened connection with nature, how you go about establishing that profound connection so that you are able to clearly hear your intuitive guidance, your wisdom. I would love for you to join us, and you can click the link in the description down below for all of the details about that. One of the most powerful ways of connecting with nature is through understanding more about nature, learning about nature, because of course, we know a whole bunch from a scientific perspective, but when we learn about the science and ask ourselves, what more wisdom is here for me? There is so much more wisdom than what the science provides us. For example, the story that I want to share for you today is a powerful one, and I think that it's a beautiful story for anybody that is experiencing a particularly difficult time, maybe even a truly devastating time, a time of deep grief, or a time of high anxiety, or a time of depression. So I offer this story for you from the redwoods of California. As you may recall, in 2020, in addition to, us humans experiencing such a tumultuous, challenging, difficult year with the pandemic, the redwoods of California suffered a huge blow because they experienced wildfires with the intensity that we have really never seen in human history that we're aware of. And especially in Big Basin Redwoods State Park in Santa Cruz, California, the redwoods were really devastated. I mean, they naturally can withstand fires. They have very thick bark. They've withstood fires over, many, many periods of time. But these particular fires were especially severe, extreme, devastating. They even flew up into the canopies, and the crowns of the redwoods burned the needles and their canopies, which had not been seen before. This caused so many people to believe that these redwoods were killed, that there was no coming back from this. And of course, redwoods are ancient, wise trees. So much wisdom to be received through the redwoods. Now, we know that their bark is fire resistant, but we didn't know that there was still hope after this, because it was thought that once the canopies burned, the redwoods were no longer going to be able to photosynthesize. They were no longer going to be able to create the sugars and the carbohydrates that they needed to survive and to come back from the fires. And yet, just a few months after these devastating wildfires went through the state park, buds and sprouts began to appear, shocking scientists and delighting them, of course, bringing them so much joy seeing this, but really shocking them, surprising them, because they had never seen something like this happen before. Well, they knew in the past, they had already understood that many trees, including redwoods, can actually store sugars within their physical structures, so that they can draw upon stored sugars in order to withstand particularly challenging environmental times, droughts, fires, and so on. Now, they had done past studies that had found that the redwoods were able to store sugars for about 16 years. They had found sugars stored within redwoods and other trees, including maples, up to 16 or 17 years ago, which was pretty impressive, right? But when they investigated more deeply into what was happening with the redwoods through a series of tests of science study, they were able to determine that the sugars that the redwoods were drawing upon were actually 60 years old. They had been storing sugars within their structures for 60 years, 6 decades. They had been creating this energy reserve for themselves. How amazing is that? But it gets even more fascinating, because it's not just about the energy reserves. It's the fact that they had produced the buds that were opening after the fires. These buds, in some cases, they determined that they had been, through radiocarbon dating, that they had been first developed up to 1,000 years ago. Up to 1,000 years ago, these redwoods had created these buds within their trunks, and they were just simply waiting there to come out when the time was right, when it was needed, when the redwood needed that additional support, that new life. They had something that, within their knowledge, within their deep inner wisdom, they knew that they needed to prepare for this, and they had the ability to draw upon it when necessary. It's such an amazing, inspirational story. And the reason I share this is first to share with you how nature is so incredibly resilient, and that we are learning so much about nature and everything that Mother Earth is capable of. And I want you to know, to remind you that you are a child of nature. You too have this resilience. You have this innate wisdom of how to move through periods of devastation, times where you are experiencing trials and tribulations like you have never seen before. You too have the wisdom within you, and connecting more deeply with nature brings this forward. It cultivates it. It allows you to reawaken all of the wisdom that you hold within yourself as a child of nature, that you may not even be intellectually aware of. This is spiritual, this is emotional, this is an energetic healing. So I encourage you to take a nice deep breath here. And after hearing about that amazing story about the redwoods, I invite you to ask the very simple question: what message do these ancient redwoods have for you right now? What message do the ancient redwoods have for you right now? And just receiving whatever comes forward. It may be in words or images or a sensation in your body. It may be simply a feeling. What message do the ancient redwoods have for you right now? So you have just completed a cycle of your path to peace. You have just completed that. You experienced a simple moment with nature through learning about nature. You experienced presence. You were present in the moment. You experienced a moment of stillness. You invited your deep wisdom. And I'm hoping that you experienced a moment of profound connection. And this is the path to peace. Repeating this practice as often as you can. The more you do it, the easier it goes, the faster it flows, the easier you're able to identify those simple moments, whether you're washing your hands or, folding laundry or taking a walk throughout your neighborhood. There's so many ways to experience this path to peace. And this is the way that I am teaching, that I am sharing, because I've experienced how transformational it is, how meaningfully powerful and healing it is in my life, and I want you to experience it as well. So thank you so much for joining me today. I am taking next week off to hang out with my family, and I will be back on Tuesday, January 2nd, 2024, for the next episode of Reclaim Your Peace through Mother Earth. And if you are interested in learning more about my winter solstice event this Thursday, it is from noon to 1. It is all about sowing seeds of peace and hope, and you can learn more about it by clicking the link in the description down below. Thank you so much for joining me today. Wishing you a very happy holiday and a happy new year, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thanks. Take care. Bye-bye.